vaccinations are homeopathic, and by that I mean literally, vaccines are homeopathic. That means that anyone can see this on its face value. As well as scientifically. You know, just look it up in the dictionary. Just look up the meaning of the word. See what the word means in Greek. But more than that, it's really more than that, because a vaccine crudely fits the first three principles of homeopathy: cures like, attenuation, and minimum dose. It's simply the misperception of what homeopathy is that's prohibited its use in other applications, and it should be used in other applications. It should be more widely used, because homeopathy is effective medicine. It's effective in more than just its crude use in vaccines and antivenoms. It's also very effective in other things as well, such as cancer and diabetes and other contagious diseases. So don't pass this up as just another piece of interesting fluff or information. This is a profound revelation. Perhaps it could be the most important piece of information you'll ever hear, because it means the end of disease as we know it now. The smallpox vaccine is regarded as the greatest medical achievement of our age, and so to say that it's homeopathic is really a stunning piece of news. This is of critical importance. You know, there's been a lot of pushback on homeopathy from the medical establishment, and yet it's held its own. It's still growing at the rate of 30% a year, according to some sources. So, and now in Australia, opponents of homeopathy are attempting to restrict the public's access to it and their right to know more about it. Specifically, its effective use in contagious diseases like whooping cough. This is a threat to your right to choose what kind of medical treatment that that you'll have. It's available to you. You know, they can't do this legally. This isn't about restricting commercial speech like advertisements. We don't need to make an advertisement about this. It's about censoring epidemiological reports. It's about the government threatening to clamp down on historical data on the use of homeopathic medicine in combating epidemics, which it has been very successful in. And the smallpox vaccination and antivenom uses are just examples of it. So how can you make an educated choice if information is being withheld from you about this? You see, they don't want you to know this information. They don't want you to. They get, you know, when they're faced with something like smallpox, the medical establishment is a very desperate situation. They can't just, you know, give you some snake oil for it. They really have to fix it. And so when it really gets down to it, they have to resort to homeopathy. They just don't want you to know that because it doesn't make a lot of money for them. They can't make money prescribing homeopathic medicines like they can prescribing something like Vioxx. The death rate went down when they took Vioxx off the market, by the way. I'm sure you know that. But in this case, down in homeopathy, it's about, down in Australia, it's about the use of homeopathy in disease prophylaxis for the prevention and treatment of things like whooping cough. But the irony of it is that the same people who are telling you, the public, to avoid homeopathy and to get vaccinated are in essence doing nothing more than promoting a crude form of the very thing they're opposing. Technically, they're practicing homeopathy. The people who are opposing it are practicing it. Look at how the vaccines are made, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, here's the Wikipedia's definition of it. Their definition of a vaccine, what a vaccine is. A vaccine typically contains an agent that resembles a disease-causing organism and is often made from weakened or killed forms of the microbe, its toxins, or one of its surface proteins. Now, you could say exactly the same thing about homeopathy, and no one not the people who promote homeopathy nor the people who oppose it, could reasonably say that you're wrong. You can simply switch the word homeopathic remedy for vaccine in the Wikipedia definition, and technically you'd be right. Because the word homeopathy refers to its first principle, the use of similars to treat, prevent, and cure disease. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll read this again and switch the words homeopathic remedy for vaccine and see how it reads. Okay? A homeopathic remedy typically contains an agent that resembles a disease-causing microorganism and is often made from weakened or killed forms of the microbe, its toxins, or one of its surface proteins. There you have it. Homeopathic remedies contain an agent that resembles a disease-causing microorganism, or in examples of advanced medicine that Hahnemann homeopathy provides, the agent could be something that resembles not just a microorganism, but a toxin from an animal, mineral, or vegetable source. That's the principle of similitude, the study of which is the science of homeopathy. But we can go further than that to show that modern vaccines also make use of the second principle of homeopathy, which is attenuation. Now it says here, it is often made from weakened or killed forms of the microbe. Its toxins are one of the surface proteins. That's the second principle of homeopathy, which is attenuation of the dose, using a weakened form of the toxin in the form of a magnetic analog. In this case, see, we've gone beyond the use of material substances to use as the agent. We're using a much safer form of it, which is the magnetic analog. Now, a vaccine is doing exactly the same thing a homeopathic remedy does. It's eliciting a response from the immune system. That's what cures you. Not the chemical, not the material substance. That's not what's actually killing the disease. What's killing the disease is your own immune system. It's triggered by the vaccine. The vaccine simply triggers the immune system to react to the disease-causing organism or toxin. And it's in the reaction, and in the reaction to one dose of it. It's just one dose is enough to provide sometimes a lifetime immunity, which is the third principle of homeopathy, the minimum dose, the restrained posology. And it's not to say that every dose in homeopathic medicine or all posology is, revolves around one dose. There's a lot of times there's repeated dosing. But so there's a difference between the restrained, the minimum dose, the single dose, and what we would call attenuation. The problem here with vaccination is that people are using homeopathic procedures and treatment without any understanding of what they're doing, of what they are. And in 2012, they still haven't learned the principles and intricacies of similitude. And they haven't learned how to properly cut the dose, and they haven't learned to apply what they already know is effective epidemiology to clinical use in idiopathic diseases and infectious diseases. The diseases that walk in the door, it's different from this guy than it is from that guy, you see. Well, this is how homeopathy gets into individualization of the dose. So, What's happening in Australia is happening in other parts of the world too, where they're trying to prevent whooping cough and other diseases by these crude vaccinations, this crude practice, this crude form of homeopathy. What they're doing is they're attacking a better understanding of the very thing they're using. Now, if you're going to use homeopathy, study it, learn it, know it, practice it clinically under people who are experienced in its use, go to school and learn it at medical schools that teach it, like the American Medical College of Homeopathy in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, obviously, this needs a lot of elaboration. Thanks for watching.